Good afternoon. I'm Tim Carter, and you're watching Ask the Builder. Thanks for being here. It is Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Was just a remarkable day here in central New Hampshire. So remarkable that this morning my good friend Jim, he's my ham radio mentor, outdoor radio. He called and said, "You realize what today is going to be?" And I said, "What time? Where do you want to meet?" So today was our first outing of the year, him and I. And we actually met up with another operator, Dave Benson, K1SWL. So we had it was a great time. I'm going to write a story about it in the morning. Got some great photos, some great videos. We went to a place called Profile Falls, which is just south of Bristol, New Hampshire. And the falls were just roaring today because of all the snow melt. But with the highlight of the day, the highlight of the time, so we set up my radio. I've got an Elecraft KX3, and I know this is boring to you. We're going to talk about home mortgage stuff in just a minute. And we worked a guy in Scotland or Ireland. Then we got somebody else. But then Dave and Jim were over looking at the river, the Smith River, and I was turning the VFO knob, and I heard this guy start to call CQ, which is CQ in radio terms in Morse code, basically means, "Hello, is anybody out there?" And who was it but a friend of ours that I just never thought I was going to hear him again on the air, but a gentleman named Carter Craigie. So, it just wait till you read the story. Today, I got this idea for this live stream. It's indirectly related to home improvement because just about everyone who would watch this live stream either A, owns a home and has probably had a mortgage on the home, or B, you might live in an apartment and you're thinking about getting a home. And if you're in that second group, you're really going to win out. You're going to really win out here. All right. So it's so extremely complex. Here's the best way to really kind of start this. And also, just so you know, if you have any questions about your home, it doesn't have to be about home mortgages. It can be about roofing, plumbing, tile. I don't care what it is. Just type it in the chat. I'm happy to stop talking and answer your question. So don't be bashful. Go ahead and put anything you want in the chat. And don't be a lurker. It'd be nice for you to check in so I know who's here. That's the polite thing to do. Yesterday, what started all of this, I have to get this link for you. My wife, who I love dearly, sent me this. I'm going to put this thing in the chat stream for you. She sent me this video to watch late in the day, but I was too tired. And she said, "I don't want you to watch this video while you're tired. You have to really be alert to watch this video." And I watched it this morning, and I cannot speak to its authenticity with respect to it gives every appearance that it was done, that it was a back and forth between an attorney and a witness in a trial. And it so there are courtrooms and judges that allow trials to be not only recorded on television, but definitely audio recordings. Not all, but some. And this one obviously had to do with the home foreclosure. I'll tell you in just a minute, Dan. So I watched it this morning, and then you know how sometimes when you watch things on YouTube, over on the right of the screen, you get all these suggestions. And lo and behold, the gentleman who was acting as the attorney, and I don't think he is, he was in his because the voice was so similar, it's got to be the same person. I then watched this video, which is like 45 minutes long, but really the meat and potatoes of it is about 28 to 30 minutes. And when you need to watch the first video first, the one that's like in a trial, and I'm telling you, you have to have a clear head because the first like 8, 9 minutes are like, ugh. But what's happening is the person who's asking the questions to the quote unquote witness, he's laying some groundwork. You know, you have to get some definitions down, and I've been in that environment because I've been an expert witness for about 25 years, and I've sat in the witness chair. All right, so I know what's going on. Anyway, the second video is the one that you're going to watch, and your initial reaction, I guarantee you, is going to be, "No, no way. You're wearing a flippin' tinfoil hat, Tim. Come on, stop. Put the crack pipe down. Come on, get back here to reality." Okay. When was the last time, I put this up in the chat earlier. I know it's happened to me several times. Surely it's happened to you, where somebody tells you something and you polite, you don't get into an argument with him, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, what the hell did this person drink, man? What a flippin' idiot. And then later, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year, you discover, holy tomato, he was right or she was right. That's what's happening here. All right, here's what it is. All right, Deanne. This has been going on for a long time. This has been what I'm about to tell you is a fraud that's been perpetrated on, well, millions and millions and millions of people. I mean, me, you probably. Here's what it is. This is really complex, and I'm not an expert on it yet, but I got some notes here, so cut me some slack. And everything, you just want to watch those 2 videos that are in the chat stream is all I can tell you. Now, here's what you need to understand, how the mortgage system in America works, for the most part. Once again, I'm not an expert, but I was a real estate broker for 20 plus years in Ohio. Let me back up just a little bit. Let me just say here, this is a great example. You go to a convenience store and it's winter and your lips are dry. So you go in to buy some chapstick. You go in and you say, I need to get a flipping stick of cherry chapstick. So you go into the store, you pull the chapstick off the shelf, you walk up to the cash register, and in the old days, you would pull out some money and pay for it. Today, you may do the same thing, or you may just scan your credit card, even if it's for a 69-cent thing or whatever this costs. Heck, Christ, now they're probably $5. Who knows? And by the way, did you know you can get them in pumpkin pie too? Pumpkin pie chapstick. It's flipping amazing. It tastes just like pumpkin pie. That is so good. All right, here's what goes on. Now, so that's a standard little transaction. You have the money in your pocket, you have the money in your credit card account, whatever. But what happens when you go buy a house? So the house is, I don't know, say 300,000, 400,000. You don't have that in cash. Most people don't. What? How many people do you think have got that in cash that can afford to spend it? 1/1000th of 1%, maybe? I don't know. Not me. So the buyer, so here's what you can do here. I mean, sometimes in the old days, just there was owner financing. That was not unusual in the old days. In other words, a landowner or even someone selling a house, they would finance it themselves. They would go, okay, I know you don't have the whole 300,000, but I'll finance it. You just give me a little bit of money down and you make these payments, all right, each month. Those kind of deals happen still. Like, not uncommon for that to happen to buy raw land. Okay. But houses, like, you could never do that if you were selling your home, because when you sell your home, you need all of the money from the sale to both, unfortunately, to get this, to pay off your mortgage. And then whatever equity is left, you use that to buy your next home. All right. So the seller says, no, I cannot finance it. You need to give me all the money. So me, if I'm the buyer, I go, okay. We agreed on $300,000. I've got 60,000 I can put down, and I need to borrow the other 240. So they go, okay. So what do? You go to a bank, you go to a mortgage broker, fill out the paperwork, go to the closing, and the mortgage broker's got in a file folder, he's got a check. This is the old days. Still may happen this way. I haven't been to a closing in 12 years. I mean, it might all be done electronically now. But he's got a check in that file folder for 240 grand. He's also got a deed, and he's got a mortgage, and he's got a promissory note. Those are the four primary things at a loan closing. All right. The four really big things: promissory note, mortgage, the check, and the deed. The mortgage is a legal instrument, and it is, you sign it, it's notarized, and that gets taken down to the courthouse like right away. I mean, like right away, and gets recorded. It's very important for that to be recorded. The promissory note, typically, it is not notarized, it is not recorded. And the promissory note, get this, the promissory note, that's something that you sign where you say, I promise to pay this $240,000 back. All right, you follow me so far? Any questions? If you have any questions about this, put them in the chat. Don't wait. Just go ahead and type it in now if I'm confusing you. Promissory note, not recorded, typically. What you need to understand is that the promissory note and the mortgage support one another. You need, each one needs the other one. It's important. Believe me, it has to. They're connected. In other words, you can't get a mortgage unless you sign a promissory note. All right. The promissory note, get this. As soon as you sign the promissory note, and it's for $240,000 in this particular example, as soon as you sign it, the bank, that appears as an asset on the bank's books, all right, on the lender's books. The lender, in almost all banking situations, they automatically get credit from the Federal Reserve of 10 times that amount, meaning they now have a credit of $2.4 million that they can lend out. It's basically money that doesn't exist, all right? And the same thing happens when you go into the bank and you make a deposit. Let me see. Jason's here. Okay. But here's the thing you need to understand. It's like you go, okay, so that check that's sitting in the file folder that is going to be handed to the seller when they sign the deed, where did that $240,000 come from? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Tim, it probably was sitting in the vault of the bank or in their checking account, because banks probably have huge checking accounts. DN, we have inflation because the feds are printing a lot of money. Yes, but that's not related to what I'm talking about here at all. Not at all. Here's where the money comes from. Let me just say this before we go any farther. If you've bought a home in the past Have you ever had to pay for mortgage insurance? You ever thought about that? Probably not. Most people would never think about it. Like, okay, I got to have mortgage insurance. Fine. I have to pay like 30 cents a month or whatever it is. Okay, fine. I'll do it. Whatever. Think about this for a minute. Mortgage insurance. Here's what happens. Here's where the 240,000 comes from. Because you've signed a loan, you've signed a promissory note, and you've got a mortgage where you're agreeing to make regular payments, and supposedly you've been checked out, and your credit's good, and you're probably not going to lose your job, and you're probably going to make all your payments on time. You need to understand that there are investors out there who are willing to buy that mortgage. In other words, because they want a fixed return on their money. So your mortgage is sold off to these investors. This all happens like it's all magic, all right? So they're the ones who give money to the banks, and the bank is using the investors' money to give that money to the seller. So now, do you understand so far? The bank has no money involved in this deal at all. Not one penny. Not one penny is the bank's money, or the savings and loan, or the credit union, whatever it is. Are you following me so far? Let me just see what this is. That's exactly right, commentor. The promissory note, here's what the promissory note is a legal instrument that carries the same value as cash. Same value as cash. All right, where was I? All right, so the bank has no money in the game, no skin in the game, zero. Okay. The investors are the ones who buy the loan because they want to get your income stream. Think of an annuity. Think of buying a stock that pays a dividend, like utilities and certain other very stalwart companies are very good about paying, quarterly dividends. They're making profit, and so they distribute that profit out to the stockholders. So that, there are investors who like that. That's what they want. They want that cash flow coming through. And they eventually get back, their stock goes up. They make money. If Victor was here today, he'd be all over what I'm telling you. Hey, how you doing, Lorraine? All right. So the investors funnel the money to the bank. The bank uses their money to write the check for $240,000. All right. Big insurance companies are the ones who insure the mortgage. All right. In other words, you're kind of paying for it because, remember, I told you, you've probably seen it in your closing statement that you're buying some mortgage insurance. You're paying for it. You lose your job. You get sick, whatever. You stop making payments. And if you go to the bank and ask for relief, whatever, they don't even talk to you. All right, typically. The mortgage insurance kicks in at 90 days. On the 91st day that you don't make a payment, the insurance company has to write a check for that full $240,000. But who does the check go to? The check goes to the investors. Even if you've made principal payments, they get all of the money. That's the way it works. All right. So then if you continue to not make payments, what happens? Typically, they'll foreclose on you, and the house gets sold out from underneath you, and the bank gets the money. The bank never had any money in the game. Starting to understand this? Here's where it gets really interesting. In 1870, in the 1870s, the U.S. Supreme Court had a case in front of it about mortgages and promissory notes. And the Supreme Court ruling was that if those two things get separated, that basically they're joined together, they're documents that support one another, like I said earlier. If they get separated, then both things are null and void. Guess what happens at the closing? The promissory note and the mortgage get separated. The chain of title is broken at the closing. As soon as that mortgage of yours is electronically sold into the secondary market to the investors, the chain of title is broken. You need to watch those two videos. This is so convoluted, and it's basically like you know that funny thing that you see online, like a Rube Goldberg machine that's a very complex, all these parts, and does all this stuff just to do something very simple, like fill a glass with water, whatever. This was designed to be very confusing and to be so that the average person could never understand it. You're going to have to watch those videos up in the chat twice, maybe 3 times to fully understand it. Here's your biggest takeaway. So if you're old enough to remember what happened 14 years ago, this is kind of directly related. Do you remember what happened in September of 2008? The giant financial crisis here in America? The Lehman Brothers collapse? Okay, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to warn you. This is what I'm going to tell you. You're going to say, it can't possibly be true. It can't possibly be true. I'm telling you, it's true. Those are, well, I'm not an expert in Freddie and Fannie Mae. Those are federally insured. It's very complex. They're all involved in it. I can't even go into that. Remember when I said that when you sign the promissory note, the bank in their charter, they get to show on their books a credit of 10 times the amount of the promissory note, and the same is true with the deposit. Like if you walk into the bank and you deposit $10,000, the next day, the bank can lend out $100,000. And you might go, well, wait a minute, where's the other $90,000? It doesn't really exist. But you would go, well, then, if I went to cash that $100,000 check that I get from the bank, I borrow $100,000 for a loan. In other words, like your neighbor goes in the bank yesterday and deposits $10,000. You go to the bank the next day and say, I need a $100,000 loan. The bank goes, you got it. Here, sign these papers. Here's the check. Good luck. So here you have a check made out to you. It's a bank check. $10,000 of it technically is your neighbor's. What's the other $90,000? All right. So you would think that check would bounce, right? You take it to your bank, and if you deposit the $100,000 in your account, your bank tomorrow can lend out $1 million. Do you see how this is a big shell game? I'm telling you, this is true. And so the only reason the whole system works is because each bank, as long as every bank honors the other bank's checks, it works. It's like a train. It's like a train moving down the track. All the cars have to move at the same speed. But if one car decides to stop, bad things happen. That's what happened in 2008. You know, when you heard this phrase in the news, when they say, oh, the bank's too big to fail, because they're hiding what's going on. All those people that you see on the news and or up in the big fancy buildings up in Washington, D.C., they hate you. They don't want you to know any of this. You got to watch those 2 videos. Let me see. Hi, Vanessa. That's a great question. So Dean says, why do the banks? Because who owns the banks? Who, I know now you're going to say, well, Tim, you're starting to go off the rails. Get that flipping tin hat on. Think about it. I've talked about it here before. Game of Thrones stuff. You and me, we are small folk. We are small folk. We do not care. We are useless eaters. They hate us. And they want to take our money. They want to take everything. I know it sounds crazy. And so they have to design a system that's so complex that the average person would never be able to peel it apart. When you watch those 2 videos, you will go, this is unbelievable. I know, but it's also true. And they cover for one another's. I'm telling you, it's crazy, but you cannot do it. Yes, Deanne, you can't do it because you don't have a charter. That charter is granted by the state. And the state and businessmen typically are like this. It's time for people to wake up. You need to wake up. You need to wake up. And here's the first part of waking up, just so you know. Just go, it's possible that much of what I have been told in the past and much of what I have believed to be true is not. That's step 1. And if you can get past that, then you're going to start to question everything. When you watch those 2 videos, you'll go, this is crazy, but it's true. Wait till you hear what the guy on the witness stand. At one point, he took the 5th Amendment. Ed says, sounds like a Ponzi scheme. Well, it is and it isn't. To me, it's more like a shell game, Ed, not really a Ponzi scheme. So Vanessa wants to know, how much is being put into the overnight repo market for the banks? Exactly. Right, exactly. I mean, all that float, the overnight float. CB, Zeitgeist, exactly. This is the biggest flipping scam that you could ever imagine. I'm telling you, if you don't understand what I'm saying, I get it. It's because it's Earth. Here's why. I got to undo my sleeves. It's a little warm in here. Do you know why? You're not supposed to talk politics and religion with people? I mean, do you really know why? I know you're not going to type an answer. I'll tell you what it is. This directly relates to building. I mean, I'm a home improvement guy. I'm a builder. So when I build a building, at least me, I don't know about other builders. I don't care about other builders. I don't care about them. But me, you damn well bet I'm going to make sure that the footing and the foundation are flawless. I'm going to make sure that the soil is perfect, completely strong. Not even a doubt in my mind. If there's a doubt, I'm drilling piers. Why? Because the foundation of the building is the most important part of the entire building. So when you think of your inner self, of what you believe, in other words, what is you? What is your personal makeup? You believe you base a lot of your own personal ideology in both political, ideological, and religious beliefs. That's your foundation. And if somebody comes in with a sledgehammer and starts banging against your foundation, that is not a good thing. That is like, or with current events, aims an artillery shell at your foundation. Not a good day. You're not going to have a good day if a big artillery shell hits your foundation. So that's why the average person, when you try to have a discussion about politics or religion or ideology, they immediately become defensive And they probably don't even realize where they're doing it because they don't want you to take a rock or two or blow a hole into their foundation. That's the mechanism of what's going on. The same thing is true with this. In other words, what you have believed, in other words, if you believe in your heart all these years that, oh, Tim, those shenanigans can't go on because if they did, it would be illegal, and the bankers would go to jail, and I mean, you would just create all these scenarios. You create all these excuses for why what I tell you would not be true. You would go, no, can't possibly be true because in the world of unicorns and rainbows that I live in, I'm not saying me lives there, you would go, in a world of unicorns and rainbows that I live in, justice is served for people who do bad things like that. No, guess what? That's why you live in the world of unicorns and rainbows. And you can see it happening right here in the United States right now. A lot of bad people did a lot of bad things over the past 8 years, 6 years actually. They were high-level people in the FBI. Have they even been indicted yet? Much less go to trial and go to prison. And you think we've got a great justice system? Are you crazy? All right, so just understand, just watch those videos. They're up there in the chat. They're way up there. Watch those videos. You might have to watch them twice, 3 times. And you'll go, this is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. Let me get caught up in the chat. Yes, trillions upon trillions. The foundations and I know, exactly. You've got big problems in Connecticut. That concrete company used, they got some stone out of a quarry that when it gets water in it, it expands. Oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. What a shame. All right, any questions about any of this? Any questions about anything about your home? Happy to answer any question. I know it's a really confusing topic, but everything I told you is true. Now, here's what you need to understand. I know you might live in the land of unicorns and rainbows, all right? So your normal reaction would be to go to a banker. Hey, listen, I was watching this live stream of this home improvement guy, like, what the hell does he know about finance and banking? I have no clue. But here's what he said, blah, 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 blah. Do you think for 1 minute the banker's going to tell you the truth? Vanessa says, why are those concrete companies not in prison? Because here's why. Because they were not guilty of a criminal offense. You might think it's criminal. And it could be a criminal offense if you could prove that they knew that that the stone that they were using, that it was definitely going to cause problems down the road. If you could prove that, now you're into the fraud area and it becomes a criminal offense. So that answers your question. There's a big difference between civil court and criminal court in our America. Bumblebee. Well, I don't know what Bernie rails about because I don't listen to him much. He's a socialist, and I don't. There's not any place in the world where socialism has ever worked. And he, just so you understand this, I don't know how old you are, Bumblebee. Many politicians are really good at taking a page out of Caesar's playbook. And one of those pages in Caesar's playbook is divide and conquer. And there's nothing easier to do for a politician than to blame the rich people for being greedy and making your life harder. That's like sandbox 101. You know how you can go buy a Tonka truck, a little excavator or a dump truck, and go into the park and play in a sandbox with 3-year-olds, even though you're 30. So that's how easy it is. In other words, it's so easy because the average person who's living paycheck to paycheck, and then they see people flit around on private jets. They see all these rich people, and it's not hard to be a little resentful. All right. So a politician takes advantage of that and pulls on your heartstrings and goes, you know what? This is bull crap. All these flipping rich people. So here's what you also need to understand. If you assume that elections are valid, if you assume that there's no voter fraud, all right, that's a big assumption. All right. So anyway, so you tell me let's just talk about New Hampshire. Tell me how many billionaires you think live in New Hampshire. How many people you think in New Hampshire, I don't know, are worth over $50 million? Not many. So if I want to run for Senate in New Hampshire, and then I'll ask you the other question. How many people here in New Hampshire are living paycheck to paycheck? I don't know. Could be 50% of the population. So if I want to run for Senate, I could start speeches and say, you know what, those greedy goddamn, you know that guy Joe Smith who lives over on Lake Winnipesaukee, he's worth $3 billion. He flies in every other week on his flipping private jet. He's making the whole freaking atmosphere filled with carbon dioxide, and all the freaking glaciers are going to come back and crush us. Screw him. Screw him. We need to pass laws against him. And so 50% of the people go, yay. Joe Smith, the rich guy, goes, screw you. I'm not voting for you. Big freaking deal. The politician's laughing as soon as he gets off the stage. He doesn't care. He doesn't care whether Joe Smith votes for him or not. Because Joe Smith and the other 100 millionaires in New Hampshire don't count. That's why I don't listen to Bernie Sanders, all right? Because and then just so you know, if you're a Bernie Sanders guy, for whatever it's worth, I mean, you do know how the laws work here in America. So Bernie Sanders gets millions and millions of dollars in political contributions. So he is allowed to hire a company to place all of his TV ads and radio ads and newspaper ads. Well, what if that company is owned by his family members, and by law they're allowed to skim, I think, up to 15%. They're allowed to charge a 15% commission. Bernie Sanders does that. So I don't like Bernie Sanders. All right. Okay. Any other questions about this? It's pretty eye-opening. You really need to watch those videos that are way up at the top of the chat stream. Scroll back up there. Watch those videos. You may or may not believe them. Go do some due diligence. Go find out about it. Go research the 1870 Supreme Court ruling. Go discover the truth about promissory notes. Go ask the people who truly hold your mortgage, which is the secondary market, say, can you please send me a copy of my promissory note? And you won't hear from them. They can't do it. It's crazy. Everybody's got to wake up. Everybody's got to wake up. All right, let's talk about home improvement. So go ahead and seriously, maybe you're not in the mood though. Ask me any question you want. I really don't care. You could ask me about golf. All right. What do you want to know about golf? even though I'm not an expert, I may know more than you do, and so then I'll look like an expert. Right, Will? All right. Yesterday, I told you towards the end of the stream that I had to get off because I had to do a consult call with Chris up in Chicago area about her concrete porch. And I told you how it was one of these calls where the person thinks it's going to cost a lot of money to repair, but I look at the photos they sent and I go, oh my gosh, this is going to be so easy. And the call went exactly as I thought. This woman was so flipping happy. And the best part is that I convinced her early on that she's going to do the repair herself with her husband, which was to me exciting. It's like, oh, this is amazing. And then I really shocked her. I said, hey, I said, are you, do you like the color of concrete? You know, like most concrete's gray, you know, maybe a buff color. No, I don't like it at all. Good. Most people hate it. I said, what would you say if I told you that this repair work you're going to do, you can make it any color you want? And she says, you mean paint it? No. We're not going to paint it. We're going to put the color in it so it stays that color permanently and it never peels. What? I could have green? Yeah. I could have purple? Yeah. So I told her all about it, how to do it. She was so happy. Oh my gosh. I love calls like that. Oh my gosh. Bumblebee. Yeah, I might be confused about that. Socialism gets confused with communism. I know. It's all semantics. I know. So, yeah, whatever. Bernie Sanders, he's one of those guys. I'm just the opposite. I'm all about capitalism. There's a reason why all the people in the world, or most of them, want to come and live here. All right, that's all you have to know. Why? It sure as hell isn't because of the climate in New Hampshire. I can tell you that. Best alternative to vinyl sidings. Deanne wants to know. Well, I think the only alternative that I would recommend would either be steel siding, which is hard to put up, or fiber cement. Even the modern fiber cement, which is not great. I mean, it's okay, but you have to be really careful how to install it down near a horizontal surface. You have to really pay attention to the instructions, and then I would double whatever they say. If they say hold it 2 inches above a deck, I'd hold it 4 inches. Why do I like fiber cement siding? One of the cool things about fiber cement siding is it holds paint really well. You can paint fiber cement siding, and if you do everything right, the paint will stick on there for 30, 40 years. No peeling, none. So I really think the only one is steel and fiber cement to vinyl siding, since we're talking about a siding product. I happen to love, there's a siding product that I happen to love made by Certainteed, I think, and it's called Cedar Impressions. I was with my daughter 4 years ago up in Mount Desert Island, interviewing builders, and we were going to the houses that they were building. This one particular builder took us to this house that he had just finished. He's doing a few little punch list items. And as we're driving up to, and of course, up there on Mount Desert Island, you know, it's Maine, you know, Will will tell you, you know, you see these wonderful pictures of these houses with this weathered gray cedar shakes. And we come up to this house that has cedar shakes. You know, I'm looking at it. They weren't gray. A lot of people paint them. And I just thought, man, those are beautiful. I thought that's a really quality job. And it wasn't until I got to within about 10 feet of the house that I went, wait a minute, that's not real wood. That's vinyl. I'm telling you what, the average person, they're going to think they're wood. Pretty amazing. So there's some really interesting vinyl products out there. Jason, hey, Tim, did you hear Russia demands? Yeah, but we paid for that. See, we remember what did Seward pay Russia back in the 1860s or 70s? He caught holy hell for that, by the way. Didn't we pay like $60-something million for Russia or for Alaska? Just so you know, we didn't pay anything for Hawaii. We stole Hawaii from the people of Hawaii. We stole it. Hawaii was a sovereign nation. We at least paid for Russia. We paid for Alaska. Okay, Lorraine, now I'm curious, how do you add color to concrete? Oh, yeah, Seward's folly. But it was not a folly, was it? So Lorraine, really simple. There are all kinds of videos on YouTube showing how this is done. When you pour the concrete and you screed it off, we normally pour the concrete and we take a board and we screed it off, and it's very kind of wet and plastic, a lot like a stew, about the consistency of stew. Well, what'll happen is you take these bags of dry shake pigments that are the same consistency as flour that you would use to bake bread with, but they're pigments. They're pigments, and they come in any color you could imagine. Any color. They're a huge. If you want to see the different colors they come in, go to my website, type whitewash recipe into the search engine. You're going to see a screenshot of all of little piles of all the. That's just a part of the colors. There's many, many different ones. So they broadcast these just like you're broadcasting seeds onto the wet concrete, and they take a big bull float, which is like a giant. It is just a float. It's a giant piece of magnesium that's generally 3-4 feet wide, maybe about 10 inches, 12 inches wide, 3-4 feet long. And then they pass it over this wet concrete and they kind of blend it into the concrete. Now, you can actually order the pigments mixed in with the concrete so the color's solid all the way through, but that's a lot of extra money because the concrete company, when the truck comes back, they have to spend a lot of time washing the truck out to get all that colorant out. But you get the same result by just spreading it on the concrete. Now, in the case of Chris, she's making the overlay material herself, and she's making it very thin. She's just mixing it in a wheelbarrow. So I had told her, you need to blend it in with the stuff in the wheelbarrow so that the color is solid all the way through. And so that way you get an even color. So you just mix in these dry shake pigments. It's absolutely amazing. You can go online and see pictures of it. I mean, colored concrete, it's beautiful, beautiful. Bumblebee, Russia sold Alaska to fund one of their wars. Could be. I don't know that history. Obi, Jason, Nabisco and Russia are working on a new snack cracker, planning on getting on the market soon. Putin on the. I think Jason does stand-up comedy on the weekends. Putting on the Ritz. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. All right. Any other questions? Good questions about vinyl siding alternative. Oh my gosh. That's a great question. Any questions about anything? I don't care what it is. I really don't care. I'm wide open. You might ask, where's Steve? I don't know. Steve must be putting in a lot of hours. You might want to know how to get rid of a slice in your golf swing. It's not easy, but it can be done. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you I took lessons from a pro and I learned something extremely valuable. I really did. Here's all you need to know about golf. All right. And this will make sense if you've ever been on the tee. It's all about distance. All right. It's not so much about aim, as crazy as that sounds. It's distance. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be like John Daly and hit the ball 325 yards, because his will tell you, get this. I don't know, like a par 4 hole. I don't know, Will, what's the average yardage for like at the blue or white tees? 300 yards. So that means you can leave the flipping driver in the bag, get out your 3-iron, which will give you more control, or even your 4-iron. Remember, the shorter the shaft on the club, the more control you have. And of course, drivers have the longest shaft of all, which is why the ball goes haywire. All right, that's part of the reason. I mean, look at put your chipping wedge down next to the driver, but the wedge might be a foot less in length, all right, or whatever. I don't know, 9 inches. Makes a huge difference. So distance, here's where everybody goofs up. Here's where the hacker, like me, not anymore. I've got this under control. This is a good part of my game. If you've ever played the game of golf with somebody who's not that good, and and they might score 110, 120, 130, it's because they 4 or 5 putt. So what happens on the green? Here's what happens. They try to line up their putt, and they're spending all this time aiming, and they're trying to make sure the head's twisted just right, and I'm talking about a pretty easy green, not one that's really hard. And then they hit the ball, and the ball either is 6 feet short or it's 10 feet long. Next time you get a chance on a Sunday, tune in and watch golf. Watch how the pros do it. So when the pros are on the green, when they putt, if they miss the hole, if they don't get it in the hole, how far away from the hole does the ball normally stop? Maybe about that far. So they can just tap it in. And sometimes, on rare occasions, they miss. That's what they mean about distance. It's all about distance, especially when you're in close. Right, Will? All right. All right. Here we go. Bumblebee's got a good question. Any suggestions on finding a good contractor to renovate a man, that is such a good question. All right. Marcus, I'm going to be right with you. Bumblebee. Okay, I could do an entire live stream about this. I'm going to probably spend a good 5 minutes here on this, maybe 10. The first step on a big project like that, here's where most people make a mistake. Most people just call up the contractor and say, I want to do this. I want to paint this room blue. I want to remodel my kitchen, whatever it all is. This big list. Contractor says, sure, gives you a price. And everything's very vague. You remember that scene in it was so funny. Have you not watched the movie Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House? It's a classic scene in the movie where they're getting near the end of the house, and the wife is talking to the contractor and the painter, and she's going through telling them what color she wants the rooms. And she starts to describe this color blue that she wants this one bedroom. And she says, well, I think she says something like, well, I want it to be really close to like a robin egg blue, but maybe with a touch of green in it. And, and she's getting really precise. And the contractor and the painter are just shaking their heads, And after she's done, she leaves the room. The contractor says to the painter, just paint the room blue. All right. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is a true story. It was my most profitable job of my entire career. Late in my career, very late, probably 3 years before I started as the builder. Okay, Deanne, are you still with me? I'm sorry, Bumblebee. Yes, you are still here. All right. I had, all right, here, understand, this is really cool. So the good architects in every city and town, they are on a constant search trying to find really good contractors. Do you understand why they do that? I'm sure you can figure that out. Because when a homeowner comes to an architect and spends all this money on plans, the homeowner says, well, who are we going to get to bid this job? And the architect says, I got it covered. You don't have to worry about it. I know I got it covered. And so here the architect, and of course, if the architect is recommending me as one of the bidders, and I put the shaft to the homeowner, who do you think is going to hear about it? The homeowner is going to be so angry at the architect. So the architect's constantly looking for honest contractors who do a really good job. All right. Well, I was one of those, and I got in good with this guy named Hans Nutzel. He was a very popular architect in Cincinnati. And Hans kind of wormed his way in to the really wealthy people in Cincinnati. And he one of these really high up executives at Procter & Gamble wanted to build a detached garage that had like a little kitchenette in it, a half bath on the first floor, 2-car garage. And then up on the up on the second floor of this garage was like a giant man cave, giant. And I was the successful bidder. And this house, this thing was going to match perfectly his existing house. When it was done, you would think that it was originally built with a house. He calls me up on the phone. His name was Dick Bruder. He says, "Hey, Tim, Dick Bruder here." He said, "I just want to let you know I've decided that I want you to build the project." Okay, great. He said, "Can you come out to the house this Saturday, 10 in the morning, and we have a pre-construction meeting?" Sure, you bet. Now, understand that Hans draws really good plans. I pretty much knew exactly what I had to do. All right. There's always a few questions, certain things that I need to have the homeowner pick out. I get to the house a few minutes before 10, knock on the door, take off my shoes, leave them on the porch, go inside. Mr. Bruder says, "Hey, come with me into the dining room." I walk into his dining room, and at his dining room table, there are two binders, big, thick ones, about this thick. The back really thick. Like, whoa, filled with stuff. And he goes, we get through the little pleasantries, and he says, "Listen," he says, "My job at Procter & Gamble," he says, I do a lot of international travel. And even when I am home here in town, I'm unavailable in the daytime." He says, "I know this sounds crazy, but I'll probably never be able to talk to you while this job is going on." And he says, "I know that you need to have a bunch of questions answered and us pick things out. So I've already gone to all that trouble." Now, understand, we've already got a good set of plans, a really great set of plans. Now, Mr. Bruder hands me the binder that's got everything in it, every paint chip. He even has got the paint chip torn out of the paint chip book and pasted on a page saying exactly where that color goes. Every piece of hardware, every possible thing picked out. He says, "Why don't you take a look through it and see what you think?" So I start flipping through it. And as I'm flipping through this in my head, I'm just going, holy Christ, this is going to save me so much time. So much time. And I flip through it, and he goes, "What do you think?" And I close the binder, and I look at him. I go, "Mr. Bruder," I said, "I think this is going to be the most profitable and best run job I've ever done." And then he laughed. He just says, "I hope so." He says, "I just have one more question." He said, "How do you want to be paid?" And I said, "Well, it's really simple." I said, my situation is, I'm going to give you a bill for all the work that we've done and any materials that are on the job site on this day of the month. And I just need you to pay me within 5 days. So you're not going to pay any money in advance for anything unless I have to custom order something that is non-returnable. He says, "I understand. That makes sense." There wasn't anything like that on his job. And I said, "I just need you to pay me within 5 days. Not a problem. Easy. When you come, if you come within 3 days, I'll have that check taped here. He showed me where he was going to put the check. It was always there, always. So why did I want the check in 5 days? Because back in those days, I had all of my suppliers would give me a 2% discount if I paid by the 10th of the month. So I immediately deposited his check. And then the day later, I wrote out all my checks to all my suppliers to pay for all the materials. And I got a 2% discount. Well, let me tell you, back in the old days, I bought enough materials through a year that was like an extra 8 or 10 grand that I would get. Crazy. Most contractors would never do that. Now, finally, Bumblebee. So I hope you understand where this is all going. So you need to have really fantastic plans. You need to have everything already picked out, preferably before you even go to bid. And then I have forms on my website, on my shopping cart that you can buy that they're very affordable. And it asks the contractors questions, and the good contractors, when they see everything that you just are going to present to them, they're going to have the same reaction as I do, because you're going to meet with them. And the bids you're going to get back are going to be amazing because they're going to be, there's no allowances. So whatever, if they say the bid's going to be $100,000, that's it. The only reason you would have to pay a penny more is if for some odd reason you changed your mind during the job, which you never want to do. Never, never, never. No, never do a change order. Never. Don't do it. Don't do a change order. All right. So now, how do you find the good contractors? Pretty easy. I actually got a set of 4 videos on my website that show you how to do it. You should go and try to find it. Find those videos. Like, I think just type in how to find a good contractor. Let me see if I can do it while we're talking here. I think I'll, if I find it, I'll give you the link. Here we go. Stand by. See if it comes up. I'm having a little trouble. So let's see here. I'm trying to get to a page on my website. Stand by. Trying to find it. Here we go. Just a second. Come on. Come alive. Here we go. How to find a good contractor. I think that's what I titled the video. It's coming up. If it does, you're going to be golden. Here we go. I think it's right here. I think the 4 videos are in this page. I'm just checking real fast before I give you the link. But I've got your, as you might expect, I have the answer. Come on. Where are those 4 videos here? Okay. So here, I'm going to give you a link. And you can copy and paste it or do something with it. The 4 videos are not in this column. I thought they would be. But after this is over, I will get the videos and I will paste them in for you. But they're not in there. So hello, Elle. Hello. I can at least maybe find on YouTube the first video. And if I do, then you'll be able to find the others because they're just titled 1 of 2 or 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4. So I'm on YouTube now. I'm trying to pull up their search engine. And then if I can give you to video 1, you'll automatically, I think I've got a playlist made. But the internet here today is slower than flipping molasses. Somebody must be stepping on the flipping line like an air hose. To find contractor. Just so you know, this is a little trick. If I haven't told you this before, find contractor. If you want to find my videos, always type in the topic like drywall repair and then put my name in after it. Here we go. Here I just found part 1. So here we go. Here's the first video, and there's 4 in the series. So you can easily find the other ones. You can easily find the other 3 videos because the titles are all the same. Here we go. But this, and in this video series, I actually am driving and I'm going to show you exactly what to do. That's what's so good about this series. You can ask me as many questions you want. You need to understand something. I do not do these live streams to just bloviate about random topics. That's not why I'm here. Every now and then I run off the rails. I am here primarily hoping that we get 100, 1,000, 10,000 people asking me questions and rapid fire. And all I do is answer the questions to save you time and money. That's why I'm here. Any thoughts on mini splits? Yeah, mini splits, they're okay. Here's why I'm not a big fan of mini splits. If you have an open floor plan, they're okay, but I'll tell you a true story. I helped build my daughter's home 3 years ago. We were actually trying to think. It would have been 2000. Yeah, it was 3 years ago right now, March. Yeah, 3 years ago right now, we had just finished the plumbing and we were starting on the radiant heating, and it was still cold up there. I remember one day in March, I think it was like right around now, middle of March. I'm almost positive it was. And it was like 5 degrees. And we're having to put up these aluminum transfer plates. And you had to have your hands bare, at least your fingers, to hold these tiny screws. Cold, cold. All right. While we were building the house, my daughter and her son-in-law and my newborn granddaughter lived in this apartment that had a mini split. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and the mini split was the head for the mini split was in the kitchen, and the kitchen was this big kitchen and dining room, this big giant room. Actually, kitchen, dining room, living room, big giant room, and then the bathroom and the 2 bedrooms were opposite that, and the bedrooms were both on an exterior wall. It was ice cold in the bedrooms. All right, so think about this. The only conditioned air is just coming out of that thing, just like when you're in a motel room. In a motel, it's okay because you've just got kind of a small room and the air can move around. But when you have different rooms, I mean, and there's a reason why bathrooms in a motel are on the inside near the hallway. That's by design, so you know. They don't want those near an outside wall for all kinds of reasons. But the mini splits, you're going to have hot and cold spots in your house. That's why I hate them. There's no substitute for making the heating system in your house work exactly like your body. Most people don't even think about this. All right, think about this. Think about my body. Okay, look at this. Can you see those right there? You know what those are? Those are the veins. Those are veins in my hand. All right. Maybe you can't see them very well. All right. So what's happening? So every time my heart beats, and yours too, it pushes out some blood, and it pushes blood, and it's and understand this. Oh, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever had one of those things on your finger that tells what the blood pressure is? Could it be any farther away from your heart than your fingertip? And it's accurate? How do you think that is? You ever thought about that? Probably haven't. There's a lot you don't think about, probably. Here's an example of what you don't think about. How did the people 1,000 years ago, like that, were trading? In other words, let's say somebody was selling carpets. How did they get paid? Think about that. Crazy. All right. Every time your heart pumps blood, it pushes blood all the way out to the fingertips. And then it immediately starts to return back through the veins all the way back to your heart so it can recirculate. That's how your heating system should be. That's why if you want the best comfort, in my opinion, number one, you would put in radiant heat. So radiant heating, the best by far, in the floor. All right. But if you're going to go with forced air, then you have to do it the way Richard Anderson did it, my heating and air conditioning guy. He put the supply registers on the outside walls, and then on the inside walls on the opposite side of the room, he put the return air. So that the air, so when the furnace comes on, it works just like the heart. So think of your furnace as a heart. It's blowing air, and as long as he's sized all the ductwork correctly, ever think about that? How big is the artery coming out of your heart? How big? What's the diameter? Is the diameter of the artery coming out of your heart about this big? Probably. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Could be a half inch. How big is the flipping blood vessel in your flipping fingertip? I don't know. Probably half the size of a piece of dried angel hair spaghetti. I don't know. Very small. That's why your blood pressure is all the same. Because as the blood vessels go away from your heart, they get smaller. That maintains the pressure. So my house, I had a very complex house back in Cincinnati, and the temperature at any spot in any room, anywhere in the house was always the same. You would never achieve that with a mini split, never. So if you have a big room, if your home is just one big room, it's a community room, everybody sleeps out in the open, there's no rooms, mini split's going to work great. If you have a lot of separate rooms where the mini split air can't get to, those rooms are going to be hot in the summer, they're going to be cold in the winter. Hope that answers your question. It's for an old house. Okay, well, there are high velocity systems for old houses. You probably didn't know that. There are high velocity HVAC systems. I've got it on my website. Type in high velocity, just type in high velocity into my search engine. The thing will come right up. And in other words, they supply the air to the room like compressed air. Like the ducts are only like 2 inches. So you can snake them. They don't have to be big ducts, like 6-inch ducts and stuff like that. They're small. And they work great. They've got they're mufflers so that they don't sound like compressed air coming out, so high velocity. So there's no excuse. You can make it work in an old house. I know because I remodeled hundreds of them, hundreds of old houses. In other words, if you tell me, well, you can't get return air from the second floor in a whole house to the basement, I go hold my beer and watch how I do it. All right. So without tearing the whole house up, there's so many easy ways. You can put soffits, you can put a return air system up in the hallway, drop the ceiling a little bit, make a soffit, whatever, drop it down through a closet, put a return air in a corner of a room, down in the dining room. There's so many ways. So don't tell me. I don't want to hear any excuses. You know the old saying, don't you? Excuses are reasons for failure. I don't want to hear any excuses from any of the contractors saying it can't be done. Watch me. Hold my ice water. Hold my ice water. Watch me do it. All right. So not a big fan of mini splits. Unless, like I said, you live in a place that's one big room. All right. You say it's got forced air on the main floor, but having trouble finding a way to run ducts. Well, maybe it's time for you to do a consult call with me. All right. I helped Zoe put all the plumbing in her new home in New Mexico last year. Maybe you invest $100 and get on the phone with me for half an hour. Maybe you shoot a video. Maybe you do a quick walkthrough video of this place that's maybe 3 minutes long and explaining everything to me. Upload it. I watch the video, and then we get on the phone, and in 27 minutes, I tell you how to do it. Lorene, I will stop by tomorrow, then gone next week. But okay, well, Lorene, thanks for being here. You're always my live stream needs a woman's touch. It's so obvious. I mean, knowing that you're here or even maybe lurking, it keeps me in line. You know that. And I so appreciate that you're here. I hope you're having a good time, by the way. Simulator, hello, how you doing? Bumblebee, thanks. I'm serious. The best money you could ever invest in your project is doing a 30-minute call with me. Best money you'll ever spend. Here's the best part. At the end of the call, we hang up. And you hang up the phone. Well, in the old days, we actually did hang it up. You disconnect and you go, that was bullshit. I didn't learn anything from that old goat. No problem, man. Send me an email. Say, I want my money back. No problem. Kathy gives you your money back the next day. I don't even call you. I don't email you back. I don't try to argue with you. I don't ask why. What do you have to lose? Here's all I can tell you. If you don't do this and you make a mistake, the people in your house are going to be hot and cold. They're going to be uncomfortable. And when that happens, you will remember, you'll go, damn it. I should have talked to Tim. I'm going to give you a really interesting statistic. We're going to see which one you're going to be. You can imagine how much email I get during the week. And I get a lot of emails similar to yours, very complex situations, very complex. It's not a simple yes or no or a one-sentence answer. And I tell the people, I go, listen, and understand that what they're talking about might cost $10,000 or $20,000. Like in your case, you're doing a big renovation. What is that, 150, 200 grand? I mean, it could be a huge amount of money. And so let's just say it's 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever. And I know that from their question. I already know what it's going to cost or close. And I tell them, listen, this is going to, it requires one of my phone calls. The call's free if you don't feel it's worth any value. You know how many people out of 100 purchase the call? Take a guess. 98 people get that email and go, nope, I'm not spending $50. I'm not spending $50. No flipping way, man. I'll go find the freaking answer for free online. Maybe it takes them a day or 2 or 3. I know they must not value their time. And then they might not get the right answer. Remember, the call's free if you're not happy. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. All right. Any other questions? Pretty good questions. That's a really good question, Bumblebee. You've got a big problem. You can't get that wrong. Here's, just so you know, if you're still here, let me know if you're still here. Are you still here, Bumblebee? Just a yes or a no. The chat must be really latent. Who knows? Anyway, I'm just going to assume he's here. Aside from the roof in your home, what do you think the most important part of your home is after the roof? Oh, Marcus, I'm going to get to you. Thank you, Will. I'll just tell you real fast. Your heating and air conditioning system, because it keeps you comfortable. I cannot tell you how many people in the summer complain to me, oh my God, the bedrooms are hot. The basement, the other rooms are ice cold. And the winter, it's the exact opposite. Just like my daughter's apartment. You had to have a freaking 2 blankets it was like frost. I would wake up in the morning and there'd be frost on the freaking windows from my the moisture coming out of my lungs. The flipping windows would be frosted. I felt like I was living in a log cabin back in the 1700s. Okay, heating and air conditioning. Do not skimp on heating and air conditioning. Do not cut corners there. You have to make sure it's right. Okay, Marcus, let me go up here. I see it. With the price of oil, thank you, Will, for reminding me. Thank you so much. With the price of oil and gas today, is it worth looking to photosets to generate electric? Okay, Marcus, great question. All right. I've got so many things I want to say. Here's the deal. This is a really, really interesting exercise. I've talked about this on past streams. I won't belabor this too much. What you need to understand is that when I make a mistake because of and Jason maintains that I'm this big internet celebrity. I don't think I am. Maybe I am. I don't know. And I don't care. But I do know enough to know that a lot of people read my stuff in both my syndicated column and on my website. And you can find it on many, many columns on my website when I'm talking about energy improvements, like markets, like you're talking about. I will always say in the column, because what I do is I rail on these salesmen. I watch these ads on television where some guy will be saying, oh, buy our vinyl replacement windows and you are going to save immediately 35%. Really? So here's what you need to know. You do not save money on an energy improvement, whether it's new windows, extra insulation, solar panels, whatever, a brand new state-of-the-art. Maybe you've got a great furnace and heat pump, but you go, shoot, we saw that at the home show, this other one. Let's just rip ours out and put a new one in. We're going to save all this flipping money. Okay, here, I'm going to start over. You do not save any money on an expenditure for an energy improvement until such time you have reaped back in energy savings all of the money you spent, plus any interest income you might have gotten on that money. Do you understand? I'll give you an example. There are so many poor people that this is why the schools are so bad on purpose. They do it on purpose to they want all of us stupid. They want us stupid so they can take all our money. That's what the whole New Green Deal is all about. They want you to be stupid so you don't understand what's going on. All right, here's an example, Marcus. And I'm going to use real numbers, all right? Because I know exactly what I spent. All right. Let's say a company tells me that, Tim, put in all new windows in your home here in New Hampshire. We got these fantastic triple glazed, low-E glass, blah, 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 blah. It's only going to be 20 grand. That would be, I mean, I don't even know that you could do my house for 20 grand. I've got so many windows, but let's just say 20 grand. I got so many glass in my house, but let's just say $20,000. I'm going to do the math on the sheet of paper. $20,000. Now, up in here in New Hampshire, we just heat. I don't have any air conditioning. I mean, I don't have central air. We do have window units. It maybe cost me, I don't know, maybe $50 a year to air condition the house. Big deal. Who cares? $50. I don't care. I got that much freaking money in the couch, probably, in the cushions. All right. And in the flipping cup holders in the cars and truck. We're going to save what, 35%? Let's just say 35%. So 35%, that's a pretty common claim, by the way, on replacement windows, 35% energy savings. What does it cost me to heat my house in the wintertime? Well, you got to remember in the wintertime, I'm using hot water for showers. We cook with gas. I don't have separate meters for that. I don't know what that is. But I can tell you that this past year, I will have used 1,800 gallons of propane at $2 a gallon. So $3,600. We'll just, and then let's just say, for sake of discussion, that $400 of that is over the period of 5-6 months is for cooking and hot water for dishes, hot water for showers. I think you'll give me that. You'll give me the $400, right? So $3,200. All right. We're going to save 35%. Let's assume he's right. Let's assume he's right. I got to get my calculator out. $3,200 times 0.35. Supposedly, I'm going to save $1,120 on propane, and that's if everything stays the same. All right, you know, there's everything's, you know, it's a chaos theory. There's so many variables. All right, it could also be colder next winter. So I said $1,120, and remember, it was going to cost us 20 grand. And if you have to finance it, even more, right? You're going to be paying interest. But let's just say 20 grand. So if everything stays the same, if propane stays the same, it's always the same coldness each winter, you keep your thermostat the same, everything's the same, what it's going to take you, what, 18 years? $20,000 divided by 1120. Yeah, 17.8 years. But remember, that's not right, because if you would have not, let's just say you decided I'm not going to get the windows. I'm going to keep my 20 grand and I'm going to invest it in the stock market, and maybe I might make 5%. Really? 5%, 20 grand, that's $1,000. So you got an extra $1,000 to help pay for your fuel bill, what you were going to save. See the math? Most people don't do this math. So my question is, are you going to be in the house 17 years from now? I know. You're going to save some money on your electric bill with the solar panels. I got it. But you have to do the freaking math. Now, the problem is there's all this funny business going on, probably in your country, and even here in America, the whole solar industry is been subsidized by the government. And it's a big shell game, where they give all these tax credits and all this other stuff and whatever, blah, 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 blah. So that even if it costs 20 grand, you may only pay 8, or it doesn't matter. So you still have to do the math. So I'm just saying, does it make sense? Maybe it does. But here in America, the average American only stays in their house 9 years. So I know that's the long answer to the question, but here's the sad thing. 99 people out of 100 will never sit down and do the math. The story is too good too, Mr. Smith. Okay, so does that help you, Marcus? Does that, probably not what you wanted to hear. But that's the truth. That's the truth. You don't save any money on an energy improvement until such time as you pay yourself back plus the interest of what you spent on the improvement. Once you've paid yourself back, then you start to finally save money. And the whole point early on, I have said that no less than 50 times in my columns. National columns. I have never in my 28 years gotten one email or one letter from a financial planner, from a banker, from a contractor, from anyone saying that I was wrong. But what happens is most people, you need to understand in sales situations like this, Marcus, they are using high-powered psychology on you. They're using scarcity, which is scarcity is the most powerful psychological trigger of all. And scarcity is when someone takes something away from you. So they'd have all this fancy talk to show people are taking the utility company stealing money from you. They're taking money from you. They're making your money scarce. It's almost unethical. It's horrible. Horrible. It's what's happened with the whole illness thing. The whole illness was nothing but a big psyops, total psyops. It's never been about health. Never. It's always been about the jab. That's all it's been about, the jab. Any other questions? I was aggravated today about the mortgage thing. When you watch those videos, the videos that are way up at the beginning of the thing, we have been played. We have been played for hundreds of years out of trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. It is such a big scam. I mean, think about this, just to show you. I'm going to go back to this. Really important. This is really important. I hope you're only 11 people here are going to hear this. It's so sad. 12. It's really interesting to go back in time. So think about being in the West. Think about being in Colorado, I don't know, in the 1870s, 1880s, in Denver, and you own a bank there. There was no Federal Reserve. Banks back then, they were completely independent. I mean, there were no big national chains. So a bank could only lend out whatever money they had in the vault. That was it. And so the banker, how do banks make their money? They make their money on the interest, all right? So if you were a group of bankers and you would go, what can we do to make it so we can lend more money out? We need more flipping money to lend out. If we have 10 times more money to lend out, we're going to make 10 times more money in interest. That's what's happened. I mean, our Federal Reserve, who asked the question earlier? Hey, Steve, how you doing? They imagine if you could go to a copying machine and put dollar bills down and copy it and then go out and spend them. I mean, what's called counterfeiting. Well, here in America, our Federal Reserve counterfeits money every day. Millions of dollars, millions. They make this money. It doesn't even exist. They just put it out in circulation. And that's part of why we're having this horrible inflation. And we're going to go off the world reserve currency. We're not, the US dollar is not going to be the world reserve currency. I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to be next week. Britain, so Steve will tell you, Steve, the British pound preceded us. The British pound, they were the world reserve currency. Let me tell you how many years. I'm pulling it up. World reserve currency, Britain, 129 years from 1815 until 1944. And I'll tell you, Steve might be able to tell you why. So why was the British pound, think about this. You know why the British pound was kicked to the curb and was no longer the world reserve currency? I gave you a clue. They got kicked to the curb in 1944. Steve happens to live in the city that was the center of all this. They were getting freaking pounded, earlier, a few years before, pounded by the Germans, getting bombed. And so England, in an effort to stay alive, and someone typed earlier, the reason that Russia sold Alaska to us all those years ago, 180 years ago, was to fund a war. So Britain started printing money like crazy. I mean, it was the world reserve currency at the time. They could get away with it. And so they're printing all this money over in England before Steve was born. Steve's parents were there, though. They remember this. And to pay for everything, they were having to buy all this stuff to survive, to be able so that Steve wouldn't be speaking German right now. Well, it worked. It worked. They crushed their currency. They crushed it. It became worthless because they printed too much. And then the U.S. came in, and this whole event happened just 69 miles from my house. 69 miles from right where I live, right due north of me, at Bretton Woods. Look it up. Read about the Bretton Woods Conference. That's where the U.S. dollar became the world reserve currency. I walked right into the room where they all met, right at the Mount Washington Hotel. I walked into the big conference room. I sat down at the chairs that these big financial guys were sitting in. It's going to happen here in the United States. We're not the U.S. dollar. And when that happens, if you're still alive, if you're watching this, I hope you do not have any dollars. I hope that you have very few dollars in your checking account and savings account, and you have put that money in other things that are not dollars. In other words, barrels of oil are not dollars. Bars of gold or silver coins or gold coins are not dollars. Real estate, not dollars. It's real estate. That's why it's got a different name. Art, maybe really high quality art that you buy that goes up in value. Maybe, as crazy as it sounds, maybe these things. These are not cash. But down the road, this thing, instead of being worth $10 today, which is all it's worth, it might be worth $30 or $40 in 10 years. All right, let's see what Steve has to say. But what, Steve, here's what I don't understand. I'm going to say, read your thing. Boris Johnson has gone to the Arabs begging for a deal for oil because they want to demonize Russia, just as the Saudis executed 81 people in the last few days. Yeah, crazy. All right. What the hell is wrong with Boris? I mean, maybe you don't own it. I've never thought about it. Who owns all of the land out in the North Sea where they're drilling? Is that England's oil or the UK's oil? Is it Scotland's? Is it Sweden's? Is it Iceland's? I don't know. Who owns it? Why? You've got a lot of oil in the North Sea. You should not have to be getting oil from the Arabs. Yeah. Actually, I bought this one for myself. I just painted the orange 2 days ago. Looks pretty good. I got to paint I was going to paint the green today. I tried to mix it up. I could not get the green to match, so I didn't paint it. I'm going to go take it to a paint store and see if they can scan the roof. There's a big enough area to see if I can get a color match. It's got to be right. I got to get the right color. All right. So anyway, but I'm starting a collection of those things. I'm starting a collection. I actually bought another one today. I just went outright and bought it off somebody on eBay. I bought a tipper, a really neat little dump truck. When I get it, I'll do it. But I've decided I'm buying all of the old construction trucks. I put a bid on one and I lost it. I was too chintzy. What a dumbass. What a dumbass I was. I sold for $9 and I only bid it up to like $3.50. What a dumbass. I got $6 sitting in a freaking basket downstairs. Like dumbass. So I'm buying all of those Matchbox toys, the original die-cast ones from Leshney. Is that right? Am I pronouncing it right, Steve? Leshney. No, Leshney. Lesney. Lesney. Why doesn't Boris buy oil from Canada? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, because Canada's got so much oil. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All Game of Thrones stuff, man. All Game of Thrones stuff going on with that. So Steve, way up in the chat, I'll do it right now. Make it easier for you. Copy link. I need you. I hope that. I hope those two links made it. Yeah, they did. Good. All right. I need you to watch those two videos at some point. Not tonight. You got to be awake and alert. Watch those two videos. Okay, so the North Sea oil is yours, but the craziest thing to climb. Oh my God. Idiots. Flipping idiots. Yeah. Lesney owned by Mattel. Yeah, and they make crap stuff. It's not like the old stuff. That's why I'm trying to buy all the old original die-cast aluminum construction ones. I don't care about the other ones. I'm just trying to get all the full set of construction vehicles. That's what I'm after. If you see any over there in the UK, let me know. You know, I'm happy to, figure out a way to buy them. But I don't want them if they're all beat up. They got to be they got to be just so that the wheels are in good shape and they're not all beat up. I don't want pieces of crap, I mean, over here in America, you can buy them all day long for $10 a piece. I bought one today. I bought that truck for $12. It includes shipping. And I already know what the shipping cost. I ship stuff every day just like it. The guy's going to pay $4 to get it to me. So he's only getting $8. Well, he's not even getting $8 because eBay is going to skim off they're going to skim 15% off the 12. Whoo! Guy's only going to get like $6 and something. Oh my gosh, concreted over the wells. That's crazy. Yeah. Oh, crazy. Anyway, what I talked about earlier today, Steve, was it's actually international, the international scam of how people have been scammed out of trillions of dollars in mortgage money. It's horrible. Horrible. Especially the poor people who got foreclosed on. So, all right. Steve, I'm going to let you hold the floor. Have you got any questions for me? You got any quick questions? I'm happy to answer. I've been on here, gosh, an hour and 40 minutes. Crazy. So, if you have any questions, ask away, buddy. I'll tell you this for what it's worth. So much propaganda over here about the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. They're doing everything possible to make it that Putin is this horrible, evil guy, and the American people, our leaders over here, our American people, are not telling the public like, oh, you know, that Putin, he's what a bad guy he is, right? Invading Russia, taking the Ukrainian country away from the Ukraine. Are you kidding me? This is what the media is saying, all right? But here's what they're not telling you, and the leaders, like President Biden, is not saying, but I know Putin's bad guy, but you know what? I know you may not believe this, but we did the same thing to the Hawaiian people back in the 1890s. We stole Hawaii from the Hawaiian people. They were a sovereign nation. But you know what? We stole it because you know why? You know what? Because we didn't want those Japanese guys to get it. Hell with them. We don't want those Japanese people just 3,000 miles away from us. So by God, we're taking Hawaii. And that's why we also took Wake Island and Midway. And yeah. Oh, and by the way, we stole Panama too while we were at it. Are all under huge pressure to become self-sufficient. Yeah. Well, we can. We got so much oil here in America. Oh my gosh, we have so much oil. Oh my gosh. Natural gas. We have enough natural gas here in America to probably last 200-300 years at current usage rates. So, I mean, in the last 2 years of President Trump's presidency, the United States was we were a net exporter. We were exporting. We were completely self-sufficient. Gas today, I went by, I know this might not, I know you have always paid more. I got it. But you have to understand, 18 months ago, I was paying $2 a gallon for gas here in America. And today I went by the gas station, $4.29. Yeah, I know. Okay. Here, to anybody, Steve, you're going to love this. I'm going to find this video. You may have been here before when I've done this, but if you talk to people, and it's not gotten into a really bad fight. I'm trying to type and talk. That's why Lorraine should do all this. She should be here. I mean, women are so good, man. So, Steve, I'm going to show you this video. Maybe you've seen it before. It's so hilarious. It's so funny. And understand this video is, yeah, I'm looking at right here. It was made 14 years ago. The technology 14 years ago, all right? 14-year technology, 14-year-old technology. So imagine what could be done today. So the next time you see any video or someone tells you they saw a video online or they saw a photograph, whatever, and okay, we're going to help you. Just relax, lady. Your baby's not going to die. I'm trying to find, where's that video at? Oh my gosh. All right. So anyway, watch if.
Half a teaspoon burns fat.
Oh my gosh. Oh, here we go.
Faster.
Okay. Would you?
Go to bed tonight,
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. That's a guy that lives next door to Steve talking. All right. Yeah, but he's Orange Man bad, of course. Yeah, I know. Anyway, watch that video. 14-year-old technology. Actually, the technology would be 16 years old, 17 years old. So think how Photoshop was 16 years ago. So I have to sometimes tell this. I have to be really careful when I talk about this with Kathy. But she says, "Oh, I saw this video or I saw these photos," and I don't get into an argument with her. I don't, but understand, any video that you see online, any photograph you see, you cannot trust. They all can be manipulated, all faked. So you can especially see. Let me show you this one. This is a really good example, if I can find it. Fake weather cast on the scene videos. So did you see, in other words, the people in the videos, I don't know. This might be it. I don't know if this is it or not. So just bear with me. I don't know if this video is any good or not. I have not watched it, but the title looks interesting. I'm just going to close out of this video. Here's all I want to say. So here in America, there was a really great, I don't know if this video is any good or not. All right. There was this reporter, he's been on the Weather Channel here in America, Steve, for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, Mike whatever. And he's supposedly down in Florida somewhere. There was a hurricane coming and it was a little windy. And he's reporting live and he's like swaying and like leaning into the wind and, it's horrible. Yeah. And then he doesn't realize it, but behind him, the cameraman it'd be like somebody behind me or two people just casually walking behind him, not being blown over or anything. So, I mean, they're freaking liars. I mean, even the live reporters. And then there was another one I saw where these CNN reporters were reporting in this horrible high flood water, whatever. Well, they were just in this puddle. They framed the shot, the cameraman did, that made it look like it was 100 times, 1,000 times worse than it was. They were just in a freaking puddle, like in a ditch on the side of the road. I mean, they're so dishonest. You can't even believe live reporting is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Bingo, you saw that one. Okay, so anyway. So some of this stuff come out of the Ukraine. It might be made up. I don't know. Horrible. How bad is it that all of us have gotten so cynical that we cannot even trust stuff like that? That's horrible. All right, any questions? Hour and 47 minutes. That's insane. That's a long time to be live. I don't know that I hope it was a worthwhile live stream today. I hope it was the first part. I just know that people are going to watch those two videos. You're going to watch those videos and it could rock you to the core and you might go, no, there's no way it can be that way. But the thing is, then my challenge to you back, if you were to say that, I would say, well, then prove that they're wrong. Show me that they're wrong. Don't just say they're wrong. You have to prove that what the guy said is wrong. Prove it. Like in a regular fight, put up or shut up, whatever. Just like in poker, you might bluff in poker. Well, you think you got the winning hand? Well, then let's see it. You got a freaking pair of twos. Are you kidding me? A pair of twos against my flush? I've got a straight flush. Here, I'm going to show you a photo. This is kind of cool. Talking about poker. So this is me when I was, I don't know, I probably was 20 years old. And at least twice a month, us guys, and sometimes with our dates, our girlfriends, like Kathy was dating me at the time, and she loved it. We would get together and we would play poker. And it was like nickel, dime, quarter. It wasn't a lot. But we played some games where the pot could get 30, 40 bucks, which was a lot of money at the time. So here's a funny photo of me. I was wearing the guy who took the photo, I was wearing his hat. But look what's up in my shirt right here. I mean, just all staged. But that's me at age like 20. But I've got that ace sticking out of my t-shirt. Anyway, so I thought you'd enjoy that photo. So how funny is that? So we used to play photo. Steve says the scary thing is that they're getting away. Yeah, I know. But not for much longer, Steve. I really think that I think in our lifetime and much sooner than later, this whole thing's gonna come crashing down on them. Like over here, I mean, it's really starting to come out about the illness, about how the numbers that they reported for the deaths were wrong, way inflated. Other stuff it's starting to fall apart. It's starting to kind of fall apart. And I mean, there's still a bunch of sheeple over here. Don't get me wrong. All right. But it's only because they're doing all that psychology that I've talked for months about, the whole playing the scarcity card, saying everybody's going to die. And the sad thing is, people are so stupid that they don't even look at the numbers. In other words, like how many people, like Steve, like you, I mean, do you know like 10 or 20 or 30 people that you knew closely in England that died of COVID? Probably not. You might not know one person. I don't know one person that died of COVID. I know a lot of people. I haven't changed a bit. Are you kidding me? My freaking white hair and like 35 pounds heavier. In this photo, I mean, I know because I played football. So I weighed about 185 pounds in this photo. That's 185 pounds. Oh, I'm trying to hold it up closer so you get it. That's me at 185. I know, no doubt, my waist size, I would have had a 36-inch waist, 38-inch waist now. Trying to get back to 36. It's so hard. God darn it, it's hard. But I'm about 30 pounds heavier, 35 pounds heavier than I was in that photo. Oh, well. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for being here today. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Thursday, St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. I'll be dressed in green. Hope you will too. I'll have a nice green t-shirt on. Oh, I didn't get to tell you what I did today. I did earlier in the stream, real early, before hardly anybody's here. I'll have a story about it tomorrow. I went out this afternoon. I had lunch with 2 radio buddies, and we went out and did outdoor radio at a really beautiful spot. I've got, actually, I'll share it with you. I'll share you this link right now. Just a second. All right, here we go. So here's the photos today of my 2 buddies. We're at a beautiful spot. I'll let you run behind the golf cart. Thanks, Will. Thanks a lot. I know we got the same problem here, Steve. But anyway, that's what I did this afternoon. I got home just before like 3 o'clock. But beautiful day here in New Hampshire. Beautiful day. You'll see it in the video. There's like 2 really great videos there. Oh, well, okay, I'm going to go. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for letting me rant. I know you might think I've got a tinfoil hat from the mortgage thing. I don't. It's all true. It's just that the average person would never be able to figure it out. They created such a convoluted system that the average person would never be able to figure it out. Sheeple. We have so many flipping sheeple. It's horrible. I see them coming into church every Sunday. You know, I'm the head usher, and I greet people when they come in. And I see these people coming in wearing these flipping masks, and I just shake my head at them. I do. I shake my head. They actually see me shake my head at them. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they think I'm thinking, but I want to say, like, you're such a dumbass. Like, what the hell is the matter with you? What the hell is the matter with you? Because here's what I want to say to him. Like, here's the true number. So we're talking about an illness that has the same mortality rate, or nearly so, of the common flu. And so I just want to grab him and say, what the hell is the matter with you? Why 3 years ago were you not wearing a fripping mask here to church? Because we have all these old people who are susceptible from dying from influenza. And you come into flipping church not wearing a mask 3 years ago? What the hell is the matter with you? That's what I want to say to them all. They go, huh? What? I don't know what you mean. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? All right. Well, I'm out of here, Jimmy. Will, did you see the guy that was named Woman of the Year? Oh, my God. Okay, Steve, good night, buddy. Have a great rest of the week. Will, Jimmy, I know Lorene's gone. We had so many, and we had a lot of great questions today. Marcus, Simulator, Bumblebee, L. A lot of great people. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me rant. I really appreciate it. And same thing. If you ever have any suggestions about the live stream, you got to type them in. All right. I'm not clairvoyant. Oh my gosh, you saw. I know. Steve, I see people over here, so you know. People in New Hampshire, it's still kind of winter, it's kind of cold, with their windows up in their car. They're the only one in the car, windows up with a mask on. Idiots. Idiots. And they vote. And not only do they vote, they still procreate. They're still breeding. Holy tomato. Okay, Marcus. Good night, buddy. I hope I answered your question. I hope I didn't depress you about, what you got to do to save money. You got to do the math, buddy. Got to do the math. Don't waste money. Jason, that's it. Yeah, you're still here. Of course, Mr. Lurker. Oh, I'm having too much fun with these. All right, I got to go, man. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. It's really, you make the live stream happen. You put me in such a good mood. You really do. You realize you're adding days to my life. If you want to live longer, you just have to be happy. Kick all negativity out of your life. You want to live longer? Anything that makes you bad mood, get it out of your life. That's why I don't golf that much. All right. Okay, Steve. Yeah, I know. People in their cars wearing masks. Idiots. You just want to go up and say to them, what the flip is wrong with you? Why are you wearing a flipping mask? Do you know how big the COVID particle is? Did you know that 900 of them can fit side by side on the width of a human hair? And you think that mask is going to stop it? Are you stupid? Okay, got to go. Thanks for being here. I'm Tim Carter. You've been watching Ask the Builder. St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Make sure you wear green. Come on. I'll be here tomorrow. I'm Tim Carter. This has been Ask the Builder.